Oh, it is late night, Cappy. It's almost 11 o'clock my time. Look at that. It is so past my bedtime. And Cappy took his melatonin. So, before I knock out for the rest of the day and go to sleep, I got notified that the paperback version of Kindle has, or of Zero World Problems has been approved in addition to the Kindle. So it's available in Kindle and paperback. And if you were wondering what this one is about, this is a return to pure economics, not sexual economics. I know, boring. And it's basically, well, it's in the subtitle. Let me make sure I read the subtitle right. New standards of living for the post-materialist economy. And in beyond minimalism, and you don't need shit and you don't need stuff. The question is, what do you then aim for? A lot of this has been covered a little bit more philosophically and woo with Eastern philosophy and all that. But I have added more concrete goals and objectives, standards of living that now go beyond income per capita, GDP per capita, and things like that. And they're not so much measures and metrics as they actually are goals and standards. Because once you leave money, money's a unit of currency, it's a number. So you could say, I have this much money, or I have this much gold, whatever, however much an asset's denominated in a currency. This is more like, have you done this? Have you got that knocked out? What about this? And the goals and the objectives themselves, um, they take effort and work, and they're not necessarily, well, they're not numerical. They're not money. They don't make you financially wealthier, but they dramatically increase your standard of living, well beyond the point, I think, where, roughly past, I'd say, $50,000 in GDP per capita. The added income per capita or GDP per capita, it's not that it doesn't increase your standard of living. Like someone who has 80,000 is doing better than 50,000. Those added $30,000, you get a law of diminishing returns. And I'd say, again, I'm not advocating we increase taxes, but beyond 100,000, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you do. Like, what's 105,000? You're like, well, that's another 5,000. You're right. But when you know what? It's almost like I'm an author. Here, I'll read the introduction here, or the book description. What would you pay to have a wife who doesn't argue or nag? What would you pay for a husband who's actually in shape? What would you pay to have a clean garage? And what would you pay to be able to get up every morning when you wanted to? So that's kind of the philosophy there. And it's not that long. It's 167 pages. Trebuchet MS. It's a very clean font size 12. So it's not a terribly long read. Oh, and before I forget, for my regular tuner inners, if you've read any of the finance books, or you know about the minimalism philosophy and how standards of living work and what is GDP per capita, you can skip part one. That would be a review for you, and go to part two, where we start to list all the new and different categorized standards of living. And even there, you may want to skip over some of them because you know it already. If you know that you should have a micro FU fund, boom, you could skip that. If you know that you should attain minimalism, you could skip that. Where I'm particularly proud is when you get to the chapter called Your Home. I think that's a lot of the other stuff I write about in the book has at least partially or tangentially been covered by previous philosophers and writers and things like that. The home part, that's all new. That's new shit added to the pool of ideas. I'm like, let's see, you can match this standard of living over here. And I wish I could have led with it, but it's like, nah, you got to really get all this other stuff. Like there's an organization, there's a order in which you need to do them. But man, if you get to the standards of living in the chapter called Your Home and you achieve that, holy shit. I even speculate, well, I don't know what you do after that. Like, okay, yeah, I guess you could get yachts and other stuff. But if you achieve that level of standard of living, I don't think there's anything beyond it. Wow, okay, unless you had like a harem with a bunch of redheads giving you weekly blowjobs or something. I don't know. But generally speaking, outside of hedonism, I think this is like, that's it. There's a finite to-do list and you're done. And then after that, I'm like, I don't know what we do. That would be the next step. That would be somebody else has got to get there and write that book. Anyway, so there it is. Zero World Problems. I have it linked below. You got to go to Amazon and search for it. You can't go on Google because it hasn't been out that long. So it doesn't just automatically pop up. And then the audiobook will be coming a week or two, maybe. You know what? Probably more like 3. Probably more like 3. I remember that Audible takes a long time in approving books. It's going to take my narrator at least 2 weeks to read it. So that let's call that a month out. I'm already a week advanced from what I thought the paperback and Kindle would come out. But yeah, just go ahead and hold off on that. So anyway, link below. Hope you guys like it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Toodles.